Assalamu alaikum. This podcast has been brought to you by SeekersGuidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. As little as $10 a month can help people find life-changing guidance.
Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leave things up to us to make them happen, or is our destiny already written for us? For example, I had a good chance of buying a house, but I did not do it. Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me the chance and I just didn't take it, or was it never meant to be?
So there's a part of this question that relates to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there's a part of the question that relates to you. As relates to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's very important to be completely clear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord and creator of time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not bound by time in any way whatsoever. Just as He is the creator of all space, of all place, He is also the creator of time. And time does not affect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Time relates to created things, not to the creator. So there's no before, now and after, no past, present and future with respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can accept that, but we can't truly understand it because we live in time and space. So at least the intellect cannot comprehend that. They say the soul can experience that, wallahu alam, but the mind, this outside our frames of reference. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There's absolutely nothing like unto Him. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, time with respect to Allah is all the same. Before creating, what happens in creation, this moment that you're in, the choice that you'll make in the future, what will happen on the day of resurrection, what will happen in heaven, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of its people, or hell. All of that is all the same to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is all in the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Because, we don't appreciate the marvel of God, the marvel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that our knowledge is acquired, is muktasab. There's something to know, and then we acquire knowledge of it. But and we only know some things about some things. But the knowledge of Allah, Allah knows all that is necessary, all that is possible, and all that is absurd. Absolutely. Without ever not having known it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't only know what exists. Okay? He knows everything possible for what exists, and all else that was possible that did not, hasn't, and will not exist. All possible things, and all that is possible for them. And He knows all the absurd, that which simply cannot be, without ever not having known it. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge is of all things, absolutely. So, and we believe, as the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ make clear, that everything is by qada and qadr. But Allah decreed everything, and it is Allah who brings everything into existence in accordance with His decree. So we affirm that. But we also affirm the reality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us choice. We affirm that as a reality. We experience it. Right? And they say there is a practical proof of our responsibility because we perceive choice. And day to day, we come to trust our perceptions. You see a table, if you punch on it, you'll feel something. Your hand won't go through the table. Okay? I sat down. If I look down 5 minutes later, there'll still be something underneath me. Right? Reality, there are norms in creation. Right? And likewise, we perceive that we have choice, that other people have choice. Right? That's why you chose to ask the question. And reason would would affirm that too. Well, that takes some explaining. And Revelation explains it. Because the same one who tells us, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that everything is by Allah's decree and destiny, it's the same one who also commands us and praises us if we obey His command, and prohibits us and blames us if we disobey His command. Right? And He tells us that we have responsibility. Right? So we affirm both truths. If you didn't buy your house, Allah didn't destine for you to buy your house. But did you have the choice? Yes, you had the choice. Right? You had the choice. But the Prophet ﷺ told us that وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ مَا أَصَابَكَ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِيُخْطِئَكَ. That know that anything that hit you was not going to miss. وَمَا أَخْطَأَكَ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِيُصِيبَكَ. And anything that missed you was never going to hit. So in terms of responsibility, when we are faced with choices, we look at the choice within the scope of what choices we have, right? While trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After making the choice, we don't second guess the choice that we make. Right? That's where we say it was destined. Right? So we don't apply destiny to what is coming, that well, if Allah wants it, I'll choose it. No, that's self-defeating, because if you have the choice, you have to make a considered choice. You are responsible, you are aqil. You have, okay? But you don't try to control what is outside your control. But the choices you have, you want to buy a house, said if Allah wants me to buy the house, He'll show me to buy the house. So you walk down the street and it's a green light. Say, look, it's a sign from Allah. We don't believe in superstition. Right? No. You choose the house on the basis of the practical consideration. That's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. If it's good for you, right? You choose on the basis of what appears to be good for your religion and your worldly life, for you and those you're responsible for. So you make responsible choices. Once you make a choice, then you consign it that this was destined, and you make a second choice, which is, now that is the case, what choices do I have now? So you bought a house and turns out it's terrible. You don't go and say, you don't blame yourself that I'm such a fool. Okay, maybe you are, but what are you going to do about it? Right? So you don't second guess, because that's the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِنَّ لَوْ تَفْتَحُ عَمَلَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Because saying, what if, opens the door for the workings of the devil. And you don't question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that why did that happen? But rather, you consign the matter to Allah, that, well, I wasn't destined at that time. But then you have a second choice. Now, what do I do about it? Where is the khair? And it could well be that, you know what? Maybe I paid a little too much, but it works out well. It's close to the masjid, there's a good community around, the neighbors seem sensible, and it's a nice place, there's a good school near, the consideration that it's a good place, and it would be too much of a hassle to move. So you embrace that choice. Right? The problem happens that when we don't look at things correctly, we keep blaming ourselves. لو أني فعلت كذا لكان كذا. If I had done this, it would have been this. We keep blaming ourselves, and we have latent resentment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How come Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't inspire me? He's the Lord, you're the servants. You have to have that humility with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why the Prophet ﷺ used such a beautiful expression, and tarda bil qadari khayrihi wa sharrihi min Allah. That you be content with destiny, that both its good and bad are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, both its good and bad are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the question is, what do I do next? Which is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we quote this often, but it encapsulates so many lessons. When his own granddaughter died in his arms, right? And he cried. His Ayman, who was crying too, she asked, Ya Rasulullah, why are you crying? She was crying. The Prophet ﷺ told her, don't cry. She said, but I see you crying. ألست أراك تبكي. He said, هذا ليس ببكاء إنما هو رحمة. It is not crying, it is but mercy. إن المؤمن بكل خير في كل حال. The believer is in all good in every state. Whatever happens, it was destined. And the question then is, what choices do you have next? You keep looking forward. And as long as you're seeking Allah and trying to make good choices, then you're in في كل خير في كل حال. Because whatever is happening is not up to you. But what you're seeking through the choices you make, it is up to you. Which is, you're seeking the pleasure of Allah by doing what will be pleasing to Allah. That's it. Right? That's it. So that's how you can, we navigate these things. Right? And if you have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you'll find nothing but the good. عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. How strange are the affairs of the believer. إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ. For their affair is all for their good. وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. That's all, for no one but the believer. Why? Because whatever happens, they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way appropriate to that situation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate that for us and you. وحسبنا ونعم الوكيل وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seekers Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit SeekersGuidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit SeekersGuidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.